What internet marketing expert should you spend your valuable time listening to? Listen to someone who has over 20 years of web marketing experience and hundreds of website marketing success stories. That man is Erin Sparks from Site Strategics. And this is Edge of the Web Radio.
Well, we have a pretty interesting story here that's been working for about 10 days now in the internet marketing realm. PRWeb is a press release distribution network that ties into about 2,100 different news organizations, and they provide a way to communicate stories, case studies, anything news related to your regarding your company, and distribute it across different genres, different categories of information, and really get kind of niche into some direct areas that your customers would be interested in reading about. Mm-hmm. So they've been scrutinized here recently. They've had a pretty good track record of good value of content, and on top of that, some link value coming back to these backlinks that are on all of these different sites that pick up and aggregate the news feed. But what happened here just recently kind of was a big embarrassment for PRWeb. They actually somebody posted a press release that was actually it was talking about a Wi-Fi provider called ICOA that was being acquired by Google for $400 million. That was the headline of the story. Plenty of outlets actually carried the news until denials from both parties started circulating. Instead, the release appears to have been written by someone trying to pump up the ICOA stock, right?
Yep. It was actually pretty smart, and they took advantage of the system. I mean, it's truth. I mean, they didn't do the right thing, but they pumped up the stock, and they took advantage of a system that some people have been gaming for a while.
Sure.
And it wasn't long before they caught this mistake. PRWeb's all over it. You were even saying that you talked internally, and they were saying they're having meetings now to try to restructure and prevent this kind of quality leak from happening.
Yeah, I just talked to a PRWeb agent just today.
You know, it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing from a judgment standpoint on what constitutes real news and fake news too, though, on there. You know, I mean, we see press releases, and you guys probably see them too. And we've even put out press releases and gotten people mad at us saying that's not really news.
Right.
And we're like, well, it's news to the company.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. Now, this is obviously just a lie
beyond the pale,
beyond it. But it is an interesting thing when all of a sudden a company has to be responsible for the judgment, or the facts within the context of distribution. I'm not sure I really hold PRWeb that accountable.
They support the network,
right.
And they also vet out at least the website links and information that way. There's a pretty tight execution to actually get that press release ready to go. But at the same time, I mean, they do have a level of scrutiny that they have been championing themselves.
Well, there you go.
On the quality of the content that comes out of these. And, we were actually, there was another article from Search Engine Land that was headlined, How PRWeb Helps Distribute Crap into Google and News Sites.
Yeah.
And one of the screenshots that they actually, this was by Danny Sullivan, and one of the screenshots they actually posted up there was a Viagra press release with somebody selling how to buy drugs, lowest price Viagra, Viagra. This was in a PRWeb piece. I mean,
That's not good.
That was already there, and they also did some screenshots of the search engine results on certain key phrases, and showed the injection of a heck of a lot of these PR news affiliates that also were posting the same thing. So the whole thing was gamed just to get that. So we're not even talking about that one. We're talking about ICOA. So all of a sudden, because it was Google, and because they got pulled into the fence there, and this ICOA Wi-Fi firm got a few points. Ticks up on their stock, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's trashing PRWeb. Well, I think PRWeb had a pretty. I shouldn't say it at least had a history of some stuff already coming through the network.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah, and you know the same thing goes for Google and sites reaching to the top because they've gamed the system. This is the exact same thing. If Google didn't protect their content, just like PRWeb's not going to protect their or is now going to have to protect their reputation more, then they're not going to be able to sell. And nor would people use a search engine if the results weren't filtered and constantly groomed.
But Google doesn't take responsibility for the quality of their search engine results.
But if they didn't, nobody would use it.
Well, but I mean, they definitely are trying to foster great results and everything else. But the actual content within it, you know, like during that was the big thing during the elections, was all of the false things said by either side, and Google's, you know, spouting them as number one results.
Right.
Well, this was an absolute lie put out by a party.
Right.
Well, Google doesn't take responsibility for putting it out there.
Although, a counter argument was, you remember when they were Matt Cutts was actually in an interview.
He said it,
and he was actually being interviewed about infographics.
Yes,
and they were talking about looking at infographics as some sort of erroneous content.
And I think I scoffed then, and I scoff now.
Right.
It is not their job to judge.
No, it's not.
They have weighted algorithms that basically say, based on popularity, here's what we're going to place as number one and number two and number three. If people are gaming that, go after that gaming part.
Right.
But it's none of your business what's good and what's bad.
Yeah, they're stepping way too far into the role of what is good content.
And for the listeners, this is the democratization of the web. This is what's awesome, is that a small business owner can compete with a very, very large business and gain search engine traffic. What happens to Tom's, you know, cafe when Google decides that, well, that's just a small thing, they're not really viable compared to, you know, this chain of cafes.